Hi, everyone. My name is David Reed. I am a lawyer with the law firm of Brazo Seller here in Ottawa. I'm also a University of Ottawa Law School alumni. And while I never had the opportunity to study under Professor Collins while I was at school, I did get to know her quite well through our shared love of music, participating in a variety of events together, and we've thankfully stayed in touch. Last year, when Professor Collins told me about this happiness in the law class, I was so excited. This is such a great thing to offer young law students. It's such an important thing to be mindful of early in your career. So I thought this was just such a great idea, and I was honored when she asked me to come and speak at last year's class. Of course, this year things being what they are, we can't be together in person, but I'm certainly happy to provide some comments to you in this way. Um, the first thing I'd like to do is just give a huge kudos to Professor Collins for keeping this class up. Now more than ever, this subject matter is critically important. But even before COVID, I was seeing more and more time devoted to mental health and wellness in the legal profession. A lot more writing is coming out, and at professional conferences, there's a lot more time devoted to this subject. And so it's really great that this kind of subject matter is being talked about as early as law school. And I also want to give a huge kudos to all of you for taking this class. This is a very, very important subject, and I think it's great that you're turning your minds to this now. Law is a stressful career, and it's going to have ups and downs. But if you develop the tools to maintain a sense of mental health and wellness early in your career, I am quite certain that your career is going to be that much smoother for it. So congrats to all of you for taking this class. This is such a great thing to do. Today, I'm going to divide my comments into three broad categories. I'm going to talk about time. I'm going to talk about stress, and I'm going to talk about what happens outside of work. So, firstly, time. For those of you who don't know, when you get into private practice, you're expected to track your time in 6 minute increments. So tenths of an hour. So your hourly rate is X dollars, and every tenth of an hour, you tick the clock, and you've spent point one of that time on any particular task. This can get a bit weird conceptually when you realize that your life exists in 6 minute increments, and you're constantly tracking what you're doing, and you're really just selling the time you spend thinking about stuff. Bit odd when you sort of step back and take a look at that. And it can impose a kind of strange pressure. So when you're tracking your time, and what you bill is based on the time you spend. What you get as a bonus is based on what you bill. Your income, your stability at the firm is based on what you're able to bill. All this can start to feel very strange, and you start to obsess over time. And that can really take over what would otherwise be a really enjoyable practice. The thing that I find helpful is to remember that while I am billing my clients based on my time, they're paying me for the results that they get. So it's okay if a task that I'm doing takes a little bit longer than they thought it might, because at the end of the day, if they're happy with the work that they received, they're not going to be concerned that they spent an extra that I spent an extra hour on it. Some clients are, that's inevitable, but for the most part, if you clients care about getting good work. So don't overbill a file, don't overwork a file, and be mindful of doing things as efficiently as you can, but try not to obsess over the time that it's taking. I find, just as a very practical tip, there is a timer function in our accounting system. Once I turn the timer on, I'm no longer thinking about how long something is taking me. I turn the timer on, and then I turn my mind to the task itself. And then I can just focus on the task itself. So try to find ways that let you not think about the time so much, but focus on the task you're doing. Also, as a quick tip, it is very important to develop good docketing and tracking habits early in your career. Those habits will follow you. Those are the habits on which you are assessed by partners, or the time you bill, is how you're oftentimes assessed in firms. So develop good habits for tracking your time. That will follow you through your career, and frankly will relieve some stress if it's just an automatic method that you have for tracking your time. When you are doing work in your firm, when you're doing work for partners or other lawyers or clients, remember that very few people know what's on your plate, if any, other than you. You're the one who knows what the various assignments you've taken on for various lawyers within your firm or various clients outside the firm. And you're the one who knows what kind of obligations you have outside of your firm and how long those are going to take you, and what kind of time you need for those things. So be mindful of that you're the only one who knows what's on your plate, and you are allowed to govern yourself accordingly. You are allowed to manage your time, to manage your expectations, and manage the expectations of those around you in terms of when they're going to get work that they ask for. It's so tempting when the most senior partner in the firm comes and asks you for a memo to tell them, great, I'll do it right away, I'll get it to you tomorrow morning at 9. And then just stay up all night getting this to that partner because they'll be so impressed you got it to them by 9 o'clock the next day. But it turns out that the partner didn't need that memo for another 2 weeks, and they didn't even look at it until they needed it 2 weeks later. You could have slept or spent time at home or done another file or any number of things, but you just sort of decided blindly to jump in and just do this as quickly as possible to be as impressive as you could be. Everybody will understand managing your time, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is making sure you have adequate time to do each task to the best of your ability. And that includes budgeting time for you to rest so that you can do the tasks in the most efficient way possible. Any law firm that doesn't respect you doing that is not a place you want to work. I know that's easy to say, but if you're working at a place that does not want you to spend time resting and so you can be sharp when you're back at work, this is not a place where you're going to be happy, and I think you may want to consider a change. The last thing I want to quickly talk about time-wise is vacation. I myself have struggled with taking my allocated vacation through my career. I had the impression early on that, you know what, it'd be cool if I just worked right through my vacations. Even when I was away, I was working, because that shows everyone how dedicated I am. That is a terrible idea. A law firm, my firm, for example, when I started out, I believe allocated us 3 weeks vacation a year. This sounded like a dream job, and all my friends who weren't lawyers were jealous that how do you get 3 weeks vacation when you start out? Well, the fact is the law firm allocates 3 weeks vacation because that's the amount of downtime the brain should get during the year in order to be effective the other times that it's at work. Vacation is given in law firms for the same reason that auto plants shut down their manufacturing lines for a period of time for maintenance. Think of a vacation as periodic maintenance for your brain, and make sure you take it, because that will make sure that your brain is running efficiently when you do want it to produce work at the firm. The next thing I want to talk about is stress, which is obviously a head scratcher. No, this is a stressful career. We are expected to be perfect as lawyers. Clients call us, they want to know what the outcome is going to be. Even if they tell us 1/3 of the facts that are available, they want us to know what the other side is going to say, what the judge is going to say, or they want us to know how negotiation is going to pan out. They want all these answers from us because they think we have them. It's hard to get used to the fact that we don't have the answers. I remember early in my career, I would have killed for a law school exam question because they're designed with answers. The specific cases speak to specific points of the question, and you come to the conclusion at the end. In law, in private practice at least, and I think most areas where you practice law, the problems are never that clean. There's imperfect fact scenarios. You don't always have all the information you want, and you're dealing with human beings who are sometimes irrational. That can be very, very difficult to deal with. And I remember a senior lawyer told me once that there's a point in your career where you learn that you're not going to find the perfect answer to a problem. You're going to take the information you have, you're going to research and understand how the law works in this area, and then you're going to make that work. You're going to make the facts work with the law as it will apply. You're not always going to be right. It's just a fact. But you've got to trust your training. What you're actually paid to do is not to research and find the perfect answer. What you're paid to do is process information and work in that gray area. We as lawyers, and it's frankly a privilege, we live in the gray area. We live in the place where people don't know what the answers are. If they knew the answers, we wouldn't have jobs. But what we're supposed to do is help people find their way through the weeds. But that doesn't mean we have perfect vision. The reason I say this is because early in your career, you feel like you have to give the perfect answer. I remember as a student feeling like I had to find the absolute infallible answer to every single question I was asked, and it was driving me crazy because you couldn't find it. Eventually, what you learn to do is take the facts, do your research, do the best you can, find all the information that you can from your clients about your situation, from the research that you can do, and then you're going to have to take some leaps. You're going to have to make some assumptions or make some conclusions on your own. It's scary to do it first. Eventually, you get used to it, and then eventually, it becomes kind of fun. But for the time when you're a young lawyer, when it's scary, just understand that you're not failing because you didn't find the perfect answer. You are going to have to take some leaps and apply your own sense of things. Use the resources you have around you. One of the best ways to deal with stressful situations within your practice is to talk to people in your firm. Talk to senior lawyers, talk to the partners, talk to the people who gave you the work, talk to the people you know who might have done it something like this before, but use the resources that are available to you. And if there aren't resources within your firm, then try talking to some of your colleagues, the people you're in this class with. See if they know anything about the subject matter, obviously maintaining confidentiality, but don't be afraid to use the resources that are available to you, both inside and outside your firm. It will make life far less stressful than it has to be. And just, I think just overall with respect to stress, it gets better over time, is really what I would say most of all. It's going to be stressful, but it's stressful because you're not used to it. You will get used to it eventually, but finding ways to de-stress yourself, finding ways to turn away from a file and spend time doing something else is what helps you manage that stress. The time at work on a specific task is going to be stressful no matter what. But if you have other things you're doing outside of work that are giving you that are recharging you to deal with that stress, that's the key to keeping things in check. That brings me to my last topic, which is what happens outside of work. I hear the word, obviously we all hear the term work-life balance, and you may have heard it within the context of this class. Certainly it comes up a lot during recruiting time. Firms believe in work-life balance and want you to have work-life balance. I think that work-life balance is a bit of a misnomer and frankly can impose a stress that is not fair. You're always going to spend more waking hours at work than you spend waking hours doing life stuff. It's just the way things are structured. So I like to think of it as not so much trying to find a balance between, life and work. I mean, work is a significant and frankly quite joyful part of my life. What I try to think of is being as intentional with my time outside of work as I am with my time inside of work. I want to try to get as much out of my off time as I get out of my on time. The excitement and the sense of pride and accomplishment I get during work, I want to feel that outside of that too. And that helps me to keep a kind of a balance in my own head. And you find your own ways to do that. One of the key things that I learned from somebody early on was to make plans with other people that you'll feel bad breaking. So, join a sports team. These are current restrictions notwithstanding. Try to find things and make plans that you can't break, even if for now they're on Zoom. Make plans you can't break, and then you're going to feel like you want to get work done and like you have to go attend to other things, and you will feel better for having gone and done other things. Giving your brain a variety of tasks to take on will make it ultimately better and will better equip you to handle the stressful times at work. A phrase that I heard, and in fact I heard it since I last spoke in this class, was filling your tank, and it was a professional skier who articulated the phrase, and I just thought it was a really interesting image of finding things to fill your tank. Inevitably, there are things in life that drain your tank, things that that you're going to have to do that are not fulfilling, that are not exciting. or that are disproportionately stressful or frustrating, and that counts for work as well. There are some files that are just disproportionately stressful or frustrating. But find things to fill your tank, both inside of work. Try to find the things about your work that do fulfill you, that do get a charge out of, and then find things outside of work that fill your tank as well. This year, on my quest for finding things to fill my tank, I started hiking every weekend, which was a lovely thing, and I had no idea how beautiful Gatineau Park was, and I started doing it on a weekly basis with a good friend of mine. And then all of a sudden, I was getting every Saturday morning, I was getting to spend 2 hours with a very good friend of mine talking through all of life's iterations. And I was getting to spend time outside, getting a good exercise, time in nature. It was really, really wonderful. And this was something that I tried and it was great. Take the opportunity now as a student, and when you get into your firm or your various, wherever you go to work, articling, and then afterwards, take that opportunity as a young professional to shape who you're going to be as a lawyer. Take the opportunity to find hobbies, find tasks that you, or not tasks, find hobbies, things that you like to do. I think that things that engage the mind and the body are great. They can almost become meditative. Knitting is probably one of the most meditative activities you can do. I've chosen to go down the path of woodworking and building furniture for myself and my friends, and that has a very lovely meditative kind of feel to it. But take the time now and find the things that you like to do, whatever they may be, things that fulfill you. I will caution everyone against spending your spare time in front of a television. It's so easy now with all the various things we do, and particularly with COVID, we can't really go out and do a lot of stuff. Spending time in front of TV is not quality time. It's almost a method of sedating your brain. Try to find things that are actually activating your mind in different ways. Access the different skill sets outside of the legal problem solving that you do all day during the week. Try to access different skill sets, creative skill sets that you have to, and engage those things, because if you exercise those parts of your brain, that kind of variety is going to equip you better to deal with the stresses that you deal with at work. Last thing is the motherly message of the basics: eating healthy and exercising. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get regular exercise and to eat well. You don't have to be a health nut. I certainly am not. But, trying to eat in a balanced way and trying to exercise myself. I get out to run these days, maybe 2 days a week. But anything that you can do is incredibly helpful to keep your mental health and wellness in check. I hope these comments have been helpful to you. Professor Collins does have my email address, and Professor Collins, I hereby grant you permission to share my email address with your class should anybody wish to contact me to talk about questions about mental health and wellness as you enter your careers. Please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to carry on this discussion. I am sorry we couldn't be there in person for some Q&A, but I hope you're all enjoying this January class. And in whatever shape your law school year is taking on, I hope everyone's holding up well and soldiering through. And I look forward to hopefully crossing paths with each other as you get into your careers.